Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Bob Pompeani. Thanks, as always, for joining us. We have a lot to get into, including the NFL and their appeal of Deshaun Watson. We'll talk about the backyard brawl being sold out. Should this be a yearly event? We'll get into that. But the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown will be, of course, the Steelers, who are getting set for their first preseason game. And here to talk about it is your panel tonight. We have Jeff Hathhorn, left to right on your screen. Jeff from 93.7 The Fan, who does a marvelous job covering just about everything. Josh Yohe, sterling work with The Athletic, with the Penguins in the middle, and Paul Zeise. Paul Zeise program, Post-Gazette, he does it all, so we have a lot of experience here tonight. So let's get right into this. I'm going to start with a quarterback question because that's what everyone seems to always want to talk about, even though it is incomplete. But, Jeff, you've been up there every day. Let me ask you this. By large accounts here, Mason Rudolph has had better numbers. Mason Rudolph has, in the view of many, better success so far. It's early in training camp. But if this continues, could he be the starter week 1, or do you rule that out altogether?
No, he can't be the starter week 1. He would have to be so head and shoulders above everybody else in order to be the starter week 1 that I don't know if he could get to that level where the other guys would dip far enough to allow him to be head and shoulders.
So it's not an open competition then?
I think there is some competition. Like if somebody really falls flat, then yes. But I don't foresee that happening.
I think there's a real chance that he may deserve the job come September 11th in Cincinnati. I even made an appearance myself. Jeff can prove it at Latrobe this week. He was their best quarterback that day when I was there. It was clear. He looked head and shoulders above everyone else. You just have the overwhelming sense that they don't really want him to be the guy. I don't think any of us can deny that, right?
But as coaches, if he's the best, don't you owe it to yourself if you're trying to win?
I say yes, guys, because listen, in 2023, Kenny Pickett's going to be the quarterback of this team unless something has gone terribly wrong with him, right? So if Mason's the best guy this year, I don't see what the problem is, why he shouldn't be the guy, but you just have the sense that Mike Tomlin and his staff and the whole organization don't want him to be the guy. I could be wrong, but that's just the feeling I think we all have a little bit.
I think, I get it. I understand that there has to be content that comes out of that, every single day from the beat reporters and all that. But it's incredible to me what's going on here. And it's just, I think we're way overanalyzing this. Mitch Trubisky is the new guy. He's an experienced guy. He's shown flashes. He's still learning the system. Kenny Pickett has struggled in everything else, and he's had some good flashes because he's young and he's still, learning the system. Mason Rudolph's been playing in this offense, and even though it's Matt Canada only for a year, he's been playing with a lot of these other guys for a lot. So, of course, early in camp, he should look better. I think that if we get 2 weeks down the road and it's still very similar, then we should be having these conversations. But right now, it seems to me that they want Mitch Trubisky to win the job and him to be the starter, and they're going to give him every chance, that every opportunity possible to do that.
You could keep stats in these environments, and some people do. But, here's one of the things I'll say. They've run 2-minute drill twice, and Mitch has looked the best out of all the quarterbacks by far.
And Mike Tomlin likes those situational
in those scenarios.
Cases.
There's a command of the huddle. There's a calmness. There's an ability to escape and make plays. I think there's something about Trubisky that's more than just 7 shots and 7 on 7.
But I will say this is a good thing for KDKA, Bob Pompeani, because we're all watching the preseason games. Seriously.
I always think it's big.
Usually it's like, Bob's on TV, so I'll watch, right? But it's preseason. I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
But
I can't wait to see it.
How much is Mitch Trubisky going to play this week, Jeff? I mean, you get a sense they're going to play
very little.
That's what I mean.
I say 2 series unless he scores on the first, and then he'll turn it to Mason and then Pickett.
And
maybe Oladukin will get 1 snap, maybe.
He hasn't had 1 team snap all year, but he's going to get it in a preseason game.
Well, that's what I mean. I think
that's an interesting question. Wait a minute. Will he? Because I'll say this. If Kenny Pickett really needs to get work, because he hasn't had any, could he play the entire second half of a game?
There's only 3 games this year, right? 3 preseasons.
Yep. Right.
I would think the 3rd preseason game, South Dakota State guy, I can't even pronounce his name. I would say he'll get some snaps in the 4th quarter of the 3rd preseason. But before then, if they give him 1 snap before then, it's a complete waste of time.
All right, let's talk about wide receiver, because Deontay Johnson signed a contract, which I think was a little surprising. Do you guys think it was surprising, number one, given all the numbers we had heard, and he settled for less than that, at least total value? He's got, I think when I analyze it, it looks like a good deal for both teams. Josh, do you agree with that?
No, I think that's a fair point. I mean, listen, from the Steelers' standpoint, they didn't give him outrageous money. They gave him good money, but some of the contracts we've seen with wide receivers around the NFL are absurd. They didn't want to go there, and I think maybe Deontay caved a little bit. But if you're Deontay Johnson, you still just set yourself up for life financially, number one. And he's still a young guy in a couple of years when he can go through this process again and kind of prove himself. So I give him credit for taking, if we want to call it a bridge deal. But I think it works out great for the Steelers, and they have so much depth at that position moving forward. This just gives them more flexibility in the next couple of years to figure out who they want to keep long term.
Well, the one thing that is a little bit ridiculous is we're like celebrating Deontay Johnson as he's some heroic figure that took a whole lot less money to stay with the Steelers. I think what Deontay Johnson understood was this was the best deal he was going to get without having to go through the season, right? Risks playing 17 games for what, $2 million?
But he could have. He could have gone and had a big year and turned that into huge money right off the bat.
But the point is, you know, we've seen a lot of examples where betting on yourself doesn't always work out. In this case, he took $40 million is essentially what he took for 3 years. So, I mean, yeah, okay, it's not the $100 million that some of these other guys are getting, but if he, you know, plays and bets on himself and plays for $2 million, you know, maybe he gets hurt, maybe he doesn't have as productive as a season. Nobody was going to, I mean, so to me, I'm glad that they got this done because he's a good player, but it was a deal that he probably had no choice but to take.
So the early criticism of Omar Khan's hiring is, oh, he's not a personnel guy. He can't be the GM, but he does this.
Right, absolutely.
And he did that very well because he convinced Deontay Johnson that this contract for 3 years, $40 million basically, was a good deal for him. Omar, this is right in Omar's wheelhouse. Now, Boswell, you gave best contract for a kicker. Minka, you gave a really good contract for a safety. Right. That's an easy sell. But to convince Deontay Johnson that, hey, this is a good deal, keep your salary for this year, we'll throw in some bonuses, I think was a really good job by Omar Khan.
Now I want to ask you this question because you got a very talented core of wide receivers. Chase Claypool in there. You got George Pickens, the rookie. You got another guy in Calvin Austin who could surprise you as a scat back kind of guy, and of course Deontay. So, Paul, at the end of the year, which of these receivers will be the most productive, regardless of who's a quarterback?
Well, it all depends on how you define productive, but I'll say this. Deontay Johnson will have the most receptions. Pickens will have the most yards and touchdowns. So, to me, I'll say Pickens.
I'm going to say Deontay's going to have the most receptions, yards, and touchdowns. I still think he's the closest thing they have to a number one receiver. Pickens, by all accounts, has been a monster in camp. He's still a rookie, though, and there's a lot of weapons. There's a lot of people that they have to feed the ball to, whether it be Freiermuth, Najee Harris. I don't know how many touches he's going to get, as good as he is. So I still say Deontay's the guy for now.
Yeah, I'm with Deontay Johnson for yards and catches, but I think Pickens for touchdowns.
Nobody's saying Chase Claypool. You don't think he's going to be motivated? I think he's going to have a really big year after what happened to him last year.
This show right now is what's going to motivate him.
This show right now. You know, he's going to. I can predict that Chase Claypool at least twice a game will fall down, but that's a different story.
All right, we're due for a break. We'll take it when we come back. Deshaun Watson still in the news. This time the NFL is fired back. They don't like what Sue Robinson handed down, so now they have appealed. What is going to happen next? We'll discuss right here on KDKA-TV.
#1 Cochran Sports Showdown is brought to you by #1 Cochran. Go one better.